All right. We talked a little bit about House Bill 168, I believe is the appropriate name, which is turning into an interesting dynamic with a lot of Kentucky businesses, whether it's distributors, craft beer makers, or even the big boys. And on the horn with me right now, Damon Williams, who is the one of the big shots, executive. What is your title there, Damon?
Thank you, Lee. It's Director of Sales and Marketing.
Director of Sales and Marketing.
Sales Louisville.
Yeah, and good to have you on the show, Damon.
Yep.
Thanks for coming in. Are you calling me from a palatial office in Belgium?
No, sir. I'm calling you from the Commonwealth of Kentucky.
Now, Damon, explain to me why this came about, this House bill that you guys are opposing, and give me your take on it and how Anheuser-Busch feels about what I'm sure you guys consider sort of a government overreach.
Yeah, I think, that's absolutely a portion of it. In terms of the origination of House Bill 168, I'll leave that to the proponents of the bill. What I can tell you is that we've operated a wholesaler in Louisville, Kentucky since 1978, nearly 40 years. Yep. And House Bill 168 is attempting to liquidate that company and basically make it available for sale in the Commonwealth. It's attempting to take our property and take the business that's been built by the employees over the last 40 years or 4 decades. Obviously we oppose House Bill 168. One, we think it's unnecessary, as the Kentucky beer distribution system has worked well for decades. But we also find it to be disappointing because of the treatment you're talking about with a good corporate citizen that's been active in the business and done everything in the right.
And let me ask you this, Damon. Who would this affect other than you guys, really?
I'm sorry, Lee, one more time, sir.
Who would this affect if this were to be made into law? Other than you guys, who's this going to affect? I mean, you said that you'd have to liquidate. Who else would this affect?
Well, I mean, obviously we would have to liquidate our business in Louisville that we've had for 37 years. We would have to liquidate our business in Owensboro that we've had since December of 2014. But I think there's some ripple effects as well. And I know there's a company in Cincinnati, River Ghost, that's been looking to move into Kentucky, started a distributor. That's about 50 jobs. It's one of the fastest growing beers in Cincinnati. This legislation would also impact them, and it would make those plans to open up business in Kentucky null and void.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. It's like specific targeting of your business. And for the life of me, here's what I understand, because I'm certainly a free market guy, and I love everybody to be able to participate. And then you guys do battle there on the shelf space. Mm-hmm. But I don't understand why they find it necessary to liquidate your business. Is there a law, and some of this comes from the Prohibition era, as I understand it. Is there a law on the books preventing someone else to start up a distribution center the way you guys have?
No, absolutely not. In the Louisville market, and I'll stick with that one on this one, we have about 50 market share. Now, there's 5 distributors in total that sell beer in Louisville. There's the Miller Coors wholesaler, River City, and then there's 3 craft-centric wholesalers, 2 of those which have opened their doors in the last 5 years. The most recent being Dauntless Distributing, that opened in 2012. And so when you talk about the free market and you talk about the consumer's power, if the consumer wants beer, the beer is available. It's brought to market by 5 different distributors. If you're a supplier or a brewer and you're looking for access to market, you have 5 choices. If there's an opportunity beyond history, recent history, last 5 years of history shows us that another distributor can open their doors and actively pursue their lifelong dream of selling beer in Louisville, Kentucky.
So there are no stipulations. There's no old boy rule in place that only allows 1 distributor per region in the Commonwealth.
What you do have is you have defined territories, and that would be the case for the majority of beer suppliers. And what I mean by that is I can't load beer on a truck and drive it over to Lexington and try and sell it this afternoon.
Okay.
So every wholesaler, and there's 11 Anheuser-Busch wholesalers in the Commonwealth, every wholesaler has a defined territory that they sell in. They don't sell outside of that territory.
But if I had the capital and the means and desire, I could start a distribution center in your area if I wanted to.
Absolutely.
Well, again, I could understand being opposed to a monopoly if the government wouldn't license another distribution center. But the point, which is lost on me, why do they have to liquidate you guys? I don't quite understand that.
Yeah, I've heard the word monopoly bantered about here, and it just doesn't apply. We have 50 share. Absolutely, we're trying to grow that business, but there's 4 other competitors out there who are trying to make us 49 share tomorrow. That's the reality of the marketplace. It's absolutely not a monopoly.
Well, let me ask you this question, because I want to be fair to the craft beer makers too. Is there any way am I not allowed to sell direct to retail? Do I have to go through a distribution center?
House Bill 168, let's point out one thing real quick. The word craft doesn't show up in this bill.
Okay.
All right, so it's not a craft beer bill, but I know the craft brewers have been out front in terms of talking about this. If it was a craft beer bill and half the market was a sincere issue, I think you would see something asking for a self-distribution right.
Right.
That exists in, I think, over 35 states across the country. It doesn't exist here in Kentucky until you hit a specific barrelage limit, until you exceed a specific barrelage limit.
Right.
So that's not a provision. That's not the purpose of this bill. The purpose of this bill is to liquidate a 40-year corporate citizen from the Commonwealth.
Right. And under the guise of fair competition is the way they're going to frame it, right? They're going to say that you guys have a hold on the market and there's no way local brewers can get to said marketplace because it wouldn't do you guys any good to distribute a competitor.
No, absolutely, Lee. I think guys is the best word there because the data and the facts just don't back it up. If you look at the Louisville market, nearly every metric, whether it's market share, number of SKUs, number of brands, Louisville outpaces every other city in the Commonwealth in craft beer. It's a dynamic and competitive marketplace.
Yeah. Well, it's a changing marketplace for you guys. I mean, in a lot of ways, it seems that you're kind of going through some of the growing pains that McDonald's is growing through, where the market has changed and shifted a little bit to where a lot of these startups are taking some of your market share. You guys will find a way to combat that, I'm sure. But
no, absolutely. You're describing every market. They're all competitive.
Right.
And they're all changing. You're either growing or you're shrinking day after day. The reality is craft beer is growing at a fast rate.
Yeah.
And we're trying to take advantage of that with the craft beers that are brewed and made by Anheuser-Busch, as well as some of the other craft brews that we make, that we sell from other small breweries around the U.S.
Would Anheuser-Busch be opposed to a direct-to-market strategy or even a bill that was written so a brewer meeting certain qualifications could sell direct to a retail space without having to go through distribution? Would you guys be opposed to that?
Yeah, I would have to see it, Lee. I think, we protect the three-tier system. That's what we're most interested in doing. We start there.
Yeah.
When you're talking about a small brewer, an upstart who is looking to make it to market, if they can't find a path to distributors, there are, as I said, about 35 states across the country that have passed legislation to allow those small brewers to self-distribute. I'd have to see the specifics, but again, that's not the intention, nor is it House Bill 168 spelled out in that manner.
Yeah, again, I'm confused by it. When I first heard about it, because there has been some ridiculous bills that have come out of Frankfurt and laws, a lot of the old boy network, and when I first heard about it, I'll be honest with you, Damon, I was looking at you guys as the villains. And then I started to read about it, and it was making less and less sense as to why this was necessary. Because I'll tell you, it wasn't. I think it was last year when a federal judge looked at one of the laws in Frankfurt. You may be familiar with the moving companies that had to prove they needed to exist, and it was approved by other moving companies. And a federal judge struck that down and got rid of that. And I thought maybe this is along the same veins, but it's not. I don't understand why they need to liquidate you guys when there's ample ability to create competition by a capital investment. I don't get it.
Lee, it's boring radio, but I agree with you completely. I think at the end of the day, a small group of special interests or a small group with special interests, they're seeking to manipulate the political system. To alter the long-standing balance that's been in the distribution system. Yeah. And they're trying to do that to reduce competition in the middle tier and possibly making a lucrative business that we spent 40 years building here in Louisville available and up for sale or auction.
Yeah, again, I'm friends, but I'm acquaintances with some of these craft beer guys. I really haven't got their take on it yet. And it's fun to watch their progress as they build a business and attract loyal customers just the way you guys did. And I'm interested to make sure that they are allowed to compete even with someone of your stature. But by no means, I want the playing field to be equal. I don't want you guys to have to dismember yourself so these guys can thrive. That's not what free market is. You guys should be able to compete and sell your product like anybody else, or distribute if, again, there's no legal means to keep someone else from doing what you guys are doing.
Absolutely.
Why doesn't Anheuser-Busch just go buy some of these guys? That's what I keep waiting for you guys to write a check to some of these local guys like a Country Boy or something. Have you thought about that?
I think there's been situations across the country where we've made investments with small brewers.
Yeah.
And we've done that recently in Seattle, Washington with Elysian and Barrel out of Oregon. I'm not privy to those things. I can tell you a great deal about the retail execution in the Louisville marketplace. But when it comes to those types of deals, I'll leave it to another corner of the company.
All right. Hey, Damon, thanks for talking with me today, and keep us updated with what's happening. We'd love to get your take on it as this bill proceeds, and we'll see where it goes. But, again, we appreciate the help. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Lee. I appreciate it, and I ask all your listeners, vote no on House Bill 168.
You got
Thank you for your time.
All right. Thank you, sir. Again, there you go, from Anheuser-Busch, Damon Williams right there, who sort of broke it down for us, which, again, I don't get. I don't understand it. But, again, here's the part that is confusing is the laws that are in place that may keep, for instance, what was it? Yuengling is a beer, and how can they get access to Kentucky? If they don't have a distribution center, and I don't blame Anheuser-Busch, I'm not going to sell it. I want to protect my name and my brand. We'll see how all of this unfolds. All right, let me pause here briefly. We'll continue.